Gad Saad, Parasitic Mind, How Infectious Ideas Are Killing Common Sense. In The Parasitic Mind, How Infectious Ideas Are Killing Common Sense, Gad Saad explores the profound impact that dogmatic ideologies have on individual thought and cultural paradigms. Drawing from his harrowing experiences in war-torn Lebanon, Saad highlights the dangers of tribalism and identity politics in suppressing reason and truth. Through a masterful examination of universities as breeding grounds for irrational ideologies such as postmodernism and radical feminism, Saad argues these mind viruses threaten intellectual freedom. Expect insights into how emotions have started to overrule facts, leading to the stifling of discourse in academia and beyond, and how social media and identity politics create echo chambers rather than spaces for open debate. Saad's ultimate rallying call is to return to critical thinking rooted in scientific rigor and logic, challenging readers to resist the spread of ideologies that overshadow evidence-based understanding.
Defending freedom's core. For Gad Saad, the pursuit of freedom and truth is a deeply personal mission. Experiencing the horrors of tribalism and identity politics in war-torn Lebanon, he learned firsthand how these forces can suppress reason and strip away human dignity. This early lesson fueled his dedication to fight against ideological conformity and shaped his distinguished academic journey. Saad stands as a rare thinker unafraid to traverse multiple domains, consistently challenging established norms with fearless intellectual curiosity. He critiques modern universities, once the bastions of free thought, for becoming hotbeds of ideologies that oppose rational inquiry. In his view, movements such as postmodernism and radical feminism act like mind viruses, encouraging conformity at the expense of scientific rigor and objectivity. These prevailing ideologies, he argues, are central to a broader cultural struggle in the West, a battle waged between the forces of reason, freedom, and open dialogue against political correctness and thought policing. Saad warns that this ongoing conflict threatens to gradually erase the values of intellectual freedom and truth, a demise he terms as the death of the West by 1,000 cuts. Yet, he remains hopeful that by re-embracing critical thinking grounded in science and logic, we can reclaim these vital principles and resist the encroachment of ideological parasites. Mind versus heart decisions. Balancing reason and emotion when making decisions isn't always straightforward. People often make the mistake of viewing thinking and feeling as opposites, leading to decisions that don't always align with their best interests. Humans are an intricate blend of thinkers and feelers, and success lies in knowing when to engage each side. Logical thinking should steer financial decisions like mutual fund investments, whereas emotions come into play with decisions such as impulse purchases. Problems arise when emotions overshadow logic, particularly in critical areas like education and politics. Educational institutions, historically bastions for truth, are increasingly more concerned with safeguarding feelings, which can stifle meaningful, fact-based discourse. This environment leads to situations where genuine criticism is dismissed as hate speech, all in the name of not offending. In consumer behavior, a stark contrast emerges between products designed to trigger emotions, like perfumes, and those requiring a logical approach, such as mutual funds. Likewise, choosing political leaders should involve evaluating their policies critically rather than being swayed by personal biases. However, an over-reliance on emotional reasoning creates a cultural shift where facts are overshadowed by the desire to avoid emotional discomfort. Public discourse suffers as reason gives way to emotional uproar. Discussions on contentious topics often face hostility rather than open-minded examination, trapping society in a cycle where true knowledge is undermined by the need for inclusivity. This approach constricts intellectual freedom, suppressing the free pursuit of knowledge and leading to a society where fear of emotional distress hampers progress. The essence of freedom. Living in a truly free society means having the ability to express any idea without fear of suppression. At its heart lies the freedom of speech and thought, crucial for the advancement of a modern, liberal society. The unrestricted exchange of ideas, grounded in reason and tested by science, has propelled Western civilization forward. If we don't challenge prevailing notions, we risk losing our grip on truth. Today, social media platforms hold significant sway over public dialogue, serving as gatekeepers deciding who gets heard and who remains silent. Often, perspectives that lean to the right face suppression through demonetization, bans, and biased algorithms. This control extends beyond the reach of traditional media, sparking demands for regulation to prevent these companies from becoming unchecked arbiters of free expression. In academic circles, self-censorship presents another hazardous barrier. Professors and students often feel compelled to align with dominant ideologies to avoid repercussions, stifling the intellectual diversity that is vital for growth in universities. This fear of backlash is more than an inconvenience, it imperils the free exchange of ideas crucial for intellectual development. While some claim to champion free speech, they call for restrictions to protect certain groups from being offended, thus undermining genuine freedom and allowing only sanctioned viewpoints. True freedom must embrace even the most disagreeable ideas, otherwise, it becomes meaningless. This challenge extends to scientific inquiry, where identity politics suggest that a researcher's background should influence evidence interpretation. Such deviations erode the scientific method's quest for universal truths, which transcends cultural or ideological biases. By adhering steadfastly to evidence-based research and free speech principles, society can stay truly free and dedicated to truth. Ideology versus reality. When ideology takes precedence over reality, scientific truths often face rejection, especially within modern movements like postmodernism, social constructivism, radical feminism, and some aspects of transgender activism. This shift from objective facts to personal or political narratives, argues Gad, undermines reason and factual understanding. For example, certain facets of transgender activism challenge the biological concept of sex, proposing that gender identity can vary daily in demanding legal consequences for misgendering. Underlying these movements is the ambition to free individuals from the constraints of reality, with the blank slate theory standing out. It claims human traits are purely environmental, overlooking biological or hereditary influences, suggesting anyone could achieve greatness akin to Messi or Einstein through environmental molding alone. Postmodernism embraces this mindset by rejecting objective truths, often cloaking simple ideas in obscure, complex language. This creates an illusion of depth, evident in instances where basic facts, such as only women being able to bear children, are disputed with illogical counterarguments. Moreover, postmodernists argue geographical concepts like East and West are mere labels, denying any objective basis. Such ideology-driven academicism is starkly illustrated by the Grievance Studies Project, where hoax papers, like one tying human anatomy to climate change, were accepted in prestigious journals. This acceptance highlighted a troubling tendency to prioritize ideological alignment over intellectual integrity. In society, this ideological influence is seen in legislative pressures to align with controversial claims, such as the assertion that biological males can become pregnant. While these changes aim for inclusivity, they raise significant concerns about the consequences of molding reality to fit ideological constructs. The echo chamber trap. When feelings overshadow facts and victimhood is glorified, college campuses transform into arenas dominated by social justice warriors. These vocal activists, sometimes in concert with faculty and administrators, foster an environment of extreme political correctness where oppressed status grants social prestige. The quest for knowledge is sidelined by the management of grievances, turning universities, once vibrant forums for debate, into echo chambers. In this environment, dissenting views are often suppressed, and students proclaim different opinions as aggression. Professors leaning toward one ideology contribute to stifling intellectual diversity, leaving students ill-prepared for critical thinking and disagreement. Safe spaces further solidify these echo chambers, where trigger warnings aim to protect from discomfort but end up fostering emotional fragility. This contradicts therapeutic principles that suggest confronting challenges to build resilience. The trend propagates a cycle called victimhood homeostasis, where the absence of real injustices leads to exaggerated grievances and broadened harm definitions. Within this cycle, some progressives indulge in self-punishment, seeking to absolve themselves of perceived privilege through guilt and ideological purity. This new moral signaling, where worth is measured by personal guilt, undermines constructive dialogue and shifts progressive ideologies into rigid moral codes. As a result, the potential for intellectual and emotional growth is compromised, leaving students unprepared for the complexity of real-world interactions. Facing uncomfortable truths. In 1998, a study misleadingly claimed a connection between the MMR vaccine and autism, sparking a celebrity-fueled anti-vaccine movement. Despite being scientifically debunked, this movement vividly illustrates our human tendency to reject uncomfortable truths, favoring comfortable fictions instead. This phenomenon, known as ostrich parasitic syndrome, sees individuals dismissing irrefutable facts in favor of personal beliefs, much like denying gravity itself. Historical examples highlight the dangers of such denial. Notably, the Soviet Union faced catastrophic agricultural failures under Trofim Lysenko, whose rejection of genetic science had dire consequences. Today, anti-vaccination activism endangers public health by deterring people from immunizing against preventable diseases. Denialism doesn't stop at science. It weaves through ideological debates, where cognitive biases and false connections cloud judgment. Some narratives mistakenly suggest terrorism is linked to climate change, ignoring more straightforward explanations. In advocating unchecked multiculturalism, people sometimes overlook that not all cultural values align with liberal principles, potentially fostering division instead of unity. Religious ideologies aren't immune to this denial either. When terrorist acts are linked to specific doctrines, some sidestep this connection, using euphemisms and historical deflections to avoid criticism. This reluctance to face reality perpetuates division and shields harmful ideologies from necessary scrutiny. Thus, when contradicting realities surface, many cling to elaborate defenses to protect their beliefs. This refusal to confront inconvenient truths underpins the widespread impact of denialism. Whether opposing scientific consensus or espousing simplistic ideological stances, its influence continues to shape society, often at a significant cost. Seeking truth. In a world overflowing with information and conflicting viewpoints, seeking the truth demands a relentless drive to step beyond familiar beliefs. Many hold tightly to opinions, resisting alternative perspectives even when confronted with strong evidence, a behavior fueled by cognitive biases and emotional stakes. To navigate this challenge, a rigorous method of knowledge synthesis across fields is essential. Emulating the scientific approach, building networks of accumulated evidence strengthens any argument, making it more tenable and enduring. A poignant example lies in Darwin's work on evolution. He meticulously gathered data from biology, geology, and anatomy to construct a compelling case. Such an approach champions the scientific process, where truth emerges through empirical research and critical evaluation. However, even scientists, despite their structured methodologies, can stumble over biases and resist challenging norms. Yet, persistent testing and broad evidence gathering eventually spotlight superior ideas, leading them to broader acceptance. This investigative technique transcends the boundaries of science. It can dissect societal and ideological questions, like those surrounding sex differences, social constructs, and global cultural narratives. By capturing evidence across diverse cultures, historical contexts, and methodologies, one assembles a robust arsenal of facts that confront and question deep-seated viewpoints. In an era where emotions and ideologies easily sway opinions, true intellectuals rely on this comprehensive strategy. The commitment to synthesizing varied evidence enables you to draw conclusions that withstand intense scrutiny and opposition. Ultimately, such a methodical, evidence-based quest is the beacon guiding genuine insight and understanding in today's complex world.
Gad Saad's The Parasitic Mind serves as a bold reminder of the perils awaiting societies that abandon fact in favor of ideological conformity. Through vivid examples, Saad delineates how countries, from historical Soviet famines due to pseudoscientific beliefs, to modern anti-vaxxer movements rejecting proven science, reflect the dire outcomes of denying reality. He highlights the power that social media and academic environments hold in filtering ideas, potentially stifling the necessary discourse that ensures societal progress. Saad emphasizes the need for intellectual resilience by advocating for the integration of diverse evidence to challenge prevailing narratives. Ultimately, Saad paints a picture of a society standing at a crossroads, urging individuals to embrace rigorous scientific methods and open dialogue as the keys to preserving freedom of expression and truth. For any reader invested in safeguarding these core principles, Saad's work is both a cautionary tale and a clarion call to action.